Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you all for coming on this rainy morning. I didn't know who might show up for this, but I figured somebody would, and so thank you for being somebody. I'll let everyone finish coming in and then just jump on in, but Colleen's going to be back here getting the altar ready for the next service, so thank you, Colleen. You do your thing, I'll do mine. All right. Well, welcome. So you all have shown up this morning to hear me chat a little bit about my upcoming sabbatical, which starts April 1st, the day after Easter Sunday. So I have some things I'll go through, but just this. Feel free. This is casual, right? This is not a formal thing. So if you have questions along the way, want to raise your hand and interrupt, that's great. Please feel free. And I mean, if we had the space, I was saying to Ron a minute ago and Linda, I would love to be in a cozy living room with a fireplace and do like a fireside chat sort of thing and not be this formal, but we don't have that here. So we just use the space we have, but I don't think we have any fireplaces in the budget. But anyway, we're here. There's coffee. We're cozy and warm. So let's see. I'm going to start by talking a little bit about what sabbatical is meant to be. Of course, the word itself comes from the biblical concept of Sabbath, rest, right? And clergy sabbatical is a little bit of a different animal than, say, an academic sabbatical, right? We're here in college town, and so we might think about sabbatical as a time where you stop doing one thing to focus on producing something else. Clergy sabbatical is different. It is not typically a time where you're encouraged to produce anything. If you want to, that's great, but that's not the expectation behind one. The purpose behind it is really to prevent burnout. We know that clergy burnout is a huge issue, and I personally know of friends and colleagues who have gone through it, have really struggled, right? They got into ministry because they cared deeply, and for whatever reason, and I know that parish ministry is not unique in this. There are plenty of other any job, I guess, any ministry, anything you do, you could risks burnout. But we have seen patterns, right? That the particularities of parish ministry can sometimes, in some cases, cause real burnout issues in their clergy. And so, we joke about this sometimes. There's a joke out there that says, that talks about how pastors get into ministry because they want to change the world, and then they almost get fired because they tried to change the bulletin, right? So, fortunately, St. Albans is not a place that has that kind of, that unhealthy, those unhealthy expectations of pastors, So I come from this not burnt out, or I come to this not burnt out at all. If I ever felt a little bit of burnout in my ministry thus far, I would say, the dark early days of COVID were certainly, if I ever have gotten close to it, it was that. But fortunately, we made it through that really well, and really, I think came out of it all even stronger. So I'm very blessed and grateful. So for me, this is very much a preventative maintenance sabbatical, right? Want to top off the gas tank before we hit empty, right? Because I've seen too many colleagues not take that time, take that care for themselves that is needed. And we know that stepping away for a season can help prevent burnout. And so that's what this is. It's preventative. The way that it's working here at St. Albans is that last year, the vestry and I, the wardens and I first, and then the vestry, we worked on an application to the Lilly Endowment, who are very concerned about the trend of clergy burnout. They have a lot of different funding interests, but one of them is helping clergy and congregations thrive. And so they have very generously provided grant money for congregations and clergy to apply for these. They're called clergy renewal grants. And I think they use the word renewal in order to differentiate from those academic sabbaticals, and to help congregations understand, your pastor's not going to come back from their time away having written a book, right? Or, the thing that the clergy are supposed to produce is a refreshed pastor, right? That's the work of sabbatical. That's the task. So we applied for this grant. They are pretty competitive, so I really didn't expect to hear the good news, but in August we found out that we received the grant. So these grants, they are up to $60,000 per congregation, which is incredible. And they fund, sabbatical activities. The application process itself was quite extensive. I think it was more work to apply for the sabbatical than it was to apply to Yale Divinity School. It was intense. It was a lot. It was a big application. But it was helpful too, because it required me to think through, what do I really want this time to be, and how do I want to structure this time? And so anyway, we found out, we got the grant, so ever since, the Lilly Endowment, of course, had to give them a shout out. They're related to the Eli Lilly pharmaceutical company, right? So Matt and I have been joking that my sabbatical is funded by drug money. But there are 229 congregations in the U.S. That received a grant for clergy sabbatical in this cycle. So that's wonderful. I mean, they're doing incredible work, helping churches and clergy, thrive. And this is one of the ways they're doing it. All right, so the theme, let me take a quick sip of water. The theme of the sabbatical that I came up with actually came from, I thought of it one morning when I was sitting in morning prayer over in the chapel. For those who don't know, there's a little group of us, Tuesday and Thursday crowd, who gather for morning prayer at 9:15. You're always welcome to join. But we're the morning prayer crew, and the sabbatical theme idea came to me sitting there one morning. Part of morning prayer is every day that you do morning prayer, you say a psalm responsively. And I don't remember what day it was, but I remember the psalm that was assigned for that day was a portion of Psalm 78. And so we were sitting in there, gathered, working our way through this psalm, reading it responsively. It's a psalm about God's goodness and Israel's ingratitude, like many of them are, right? And then verse 11 of that psalm just leapt off the page and lodged itself into my heart. And the verse is, "They forgot what God had done and the miracles that God had shown them." They forgot. And I think we're no different from those Israelites in some ways. We can forget, right? We can forget the miracles of God. We don't intend to, we don't want to, but we can. That sense of wonder that first draws us into faith or keeps us in faith, into relationship with God, can fade, right? Because awe and wonder can give way to routine, to exhaustion, doubt. That's normal, right? But But it doesn't have to stay that way, right? But none of us are immune to that waxing and waning of awe. But forgetting doesn't have to be permanent. And so as I started to think about structuring the sabbatical, I thought about how if we can forget what God has done, the miracles God has done, we can also remember them. And so, we can rediscover and rekindle awe through intentional practices, stepping away for rest. And so that's what this sabbatical is. It's a season designed to renew and rekindle awareness of the awesome miracles of God, right, that God has shown us. And that's for me, but also for you all. One of the things that we were able to work into the grant application was that while I am away doing sort of rekindling awe in my way, you all also here are going to have some opportunities to rekindle awe. And so the grant is, I'll talk more about that in just a minute. So the psalm kind of got me going, and then I was reading a wonderful book called This Here Flesh. I think I was reading it for the second time, right around that time. And the author, Cole Arthur Riley, has a whole chapter on wonder. And let's see, I wish I could just read the whole chapter to you because it's that good, but that might take up too much time. So if we end up with extra time at the end, remind me and I can read a few snippets for you from this book. So anyway, I was getting really excited about the theme of awe and wonder. And then I remembered this lovely little book that I read a long time ago and has become a favorite. Anne Lamott is a favorite, and she wrote this book a number of years ago called Help, Thanks, Wow. Those are her 3 favorite prayers: help, thanks, and wow. And the wow part always stuck with me because she writes so beautifully about how wow is a prayer in and of itself, right? And it can be. And it's kind of related to the other two, right? It's like, thank you, God, wow, or wow, help me, God, right? Both of those are just very legitimate prayers. And wow can also be its own prayer. And so she writes so beautifully about the prayer of wow. And I thought, well, if I'm going to go on sabbatical, the prayer I want to pray most often is wow. So that's my whole goal. I designed the entire sabbatical to help me say wow a lot. So we'll see how it goes. I am going to keep a wow journal while I'm gone. And just write down everything that makes me say wow, or makes me pray wow, I should say. You all are all going to get a copy of this book. Thanks to the grant. So everyone will get to read this book, and then you're also all going to get a wow journal of your own. So I'm going to ask you all, the congregation, to also keep a wow journal. You'll get it all, it'll be given out starting Palm Sunday is when we'll start giving them out. And every household will get a copy of the book and a wow journal. And while I'm doing my thing and you're doing your thing, we're just it's an invitation to notice, right? Notice the miracles around us. Anytime we end up uttering the prayer, wow, to just record it and remember it, right? To not forget. And then when it's all, when we're reunited, we'll have opportunities to share our wow moments, right? So that's the plan. And so that's, an invitation to awe. Let's see. Let me make sure I haven't left anything out of my notes here. Any questions so far before I start talking about my plans, specific plans? Okay. Oh, yes.
Do you have to specify to the Lily people what are you going to do, where you're going to go, where you're going to study it, and how you're going to judge? Okay.
Yeah, I had to come up. The question was, how specific did I have to get in the grant application? And the answer is very specific, because you have to come up with a detailed budget, right? So I had to not only figure out, what were those things, those experiences that might help me rekindle awe, but how much are they going to cost? And when am I going to do it? I had to submit the dates, the budget, everything. So it was quite detailed. Wow, yeah, exactly. Bureaucracy, wow. But, they're giving out, up to $60,000, so they want to make sure that you have a good plan, right? So it was helpful and worth it. And once I had the application done, it was so long. We submitted it March 15th, and then I heard about it August 30th. So I kind of forgot I applied, honestly. And so when I got an email in August saying, congratulations, it really was wow, because it had been so long since I applied, I'd kind of forgotten that I had, and I was like, oh wow, I gotta, put these plans into action, and it was helpful to have already planned it, at that point, as we were, starting the program year and all of that. So, anyway, okay, I should also mention. A clergy sabbatical is now standard practice in the Episcopal Church and in many other denominations too. So this is a good thing. So sabbaticals are in all of your clergy here are in our letters of agreement. In North Carolina, you're encouraged, or expected, I should say, not encouraged, expected to take a sabbatical sort of between year 5 and 7. And then again, between, after 5 to 7 more years, it's supposed to be, it's an expectation, right? And St. Albans, fortunately, understands that, and our vestry has, each year in our budget, we have been setting aside funds for clergy sabbaticals. So while I'm doing this, courtesy of the Lilly Endowment, when Kevin takes his sabbatical next summer of 2025, and then when Deacon Valerie is up for her sabbatical, we do have, St. Albans does budget for clergy sabbaticals. May not be on the level that Lilly can fund, right? But it is part of what we here as a parish, do, and what our vestry, supports, because we know it's important. And I had a good model for taking sabbatical. The rector that I worked for my first 5 years in ministry up in Richmond, he took sabbaticals. He took them every 7 years, and so he had. When he'd been there 14 years, he went on one, and it was so helpful because when he did that, yeah, it meant a little bit more work for those of us who stayed behind, but it also told us, not verbally, but just implicitly, that, that this is important and expected, and he was the rector, right? So he was the person in leadership, and he was modeling for us what it looks like to care for one's own self and spirit. So he modeled that, and I still am so thankful that he showed me that this is important, right? And I also think it's, in a parish, if the rector, if the person in leadership doesn't model that, it's hard for any of the other staff to ever do that, right? So in a way, it's kind of my responsibility to set the tone for the culture around here. So that's another reason why we do it, and why I'm starting out doing it, so that, I'm modeling this, and then it's, part of our culture. Also, after I had been at that church 7 years, instead of taking a sabbatical, I came and started a new job in Davidson. Which was really awesome, but not necessarily restful and renewing, because it was like, here we go. So in June of this year, I'll start my 14th year of ordained ministry, and my 7th year. In August, I'll start my 7th year as your rector. So the timing is right for this, right? Okay. Now let's get into the plan, right? Yes.
Say, no, I don't want to go. Who would do that?
I would do that.
That's over the top.
You guys, like, did I say no, I don't want to go?
Can anyone say that?
Oh, can anyone say that? I mean, I guess they could, but I think it would still be they would still be encouraged to be open to trying it, I think, because, I mean, I have said that. And as it gets closer and closer, I will admit that I'm nervous about stepping away. I love what I do. I love you all, and I will miss you all, right? So there's grief with the excitement, but I know that the reasons to do it are bigger than the hesitations about it, right? But it is, it's not easy to step away for those of us who get to serve in amazing places like this with amazing people like you all. It is not easy to step away. So that's fair. All right. So we're going to celebrate. You're going to get your WOW journals and your books on Palm Sunday. We're going to have a beautiful Holy Week and Easter. And then April 1st, the day after Easter, early in the morning, it's also Chris's spring break, CMS spring break. So Matt and Chris and I are going to get on a plane early the next morning, and we're going to fly up north to fly into Connecticut. And the purpose of the first part of the sabbatical, I'm calling celestial awe. We are going up that direction to put ourselves in the path of totality for the solar eclipse that is happening on April 8th. Matt and I lived in Richmond. Some of you all remember there was a solar eclipse not too long ago in the U.S. And at the time, Chris was a baby, and we thought, it would be so cool to go see totality. But we just, we couldn't swing it with a relatively newborn, and it was just too much. So we said at the time, next time there's an opportunity, we should go and see the whole total eclipse, right? Let's do it. And so we we put it on the Google Calendar, I think, even, there was 2017, and we put it, went up to 2024 and put it on, found out when the next one was going to be, and said, let's do it. Let's go see it. So that's what we're doing. We're going to go see the solar eclipse, be in the path of totality. So we have rented a little rental house on the shores of Lake Champlain, up in New York, 5 miles from the Canadian border, I think, is where we're going to be. And so there's not a whole lot else around there, but there's a nice dock, and so we're going to have we're right in the path of totality. We're going to have a lovely place to be able to watch this eclipse happen. And so on the way there, we are going to hit New Haven, get to show Matt and Chris around Yale a little bit, and then 2 nights in Manhattan. We're going to go to the planetarium there and kind of get ourselves in eclipse mode, learn about celestial things, and then make our way up through Vermont, up to that little cabin where we're going to watch the eclipse, right? So part of the awe, of course, will be seeing the eclipse. For me, I think the biggest awe will be knowing that I get to watch my kid experience this amazing thing, right? And that's what is so special about this grant, right? That they encourage you, if family is what time with your family and experiences with your family will nourish you, then include them, right? So thanks to the grant, we all get to go and do it together. So we'll watch as the moon, briefly aligns itself with the sun and casts this mysterious darkness, except for that corona of light. And, I think God's handiwork will be on full display. And we will say some wow prayers for sure. And do some, have some fun on the way there as we make our way up to that spot. then we'll come home because, Chris has to come back from spring break. And so the next part of the sabbatical, is some everyday awe, right? We return from our voyage up north, and I have just planned some unstructured time. Some of the time I planned very structured, but I also was intentional about building in some unstructured periods just to allow time and space for whatever might happen, right? Every spring, I'm so busy around here, I don't really get to dig in the dirt in my garden very much. I always want to, but it just doesn't happen. So maybe this spring will be the spring that I really have fun playing in the dirt and look at a little worm and say, wow, what a different kind of wow prayer than a big eclipse, right? But just as valid, just as important. And so that unstructured time, I think, is really important. I don't know everything that will happen in that time, obviously, but I look forward to sharing with you what it was like when I'm back. But we'll see. Sorry. The next step is mountaintop awe. Mountains, of course, are pretty famous for being awesome places. You climb the summit, there's a beautiful view. That's in the Bible, in today's gospel lesson, we'll hear a story about a mountaintop, right? So there's, obviously something very awe-inspiring about the perspective that comes from a mountaintop ascent, right? But, you don't want to climb a mountain by yourself. And so what I am doing, and so one of the ways I don't climb mountains by myself is that I have a clergy colleague group. It's a group of women who are also pastors, and we meet regularly and support each other and laugh together and cry together and pray together and, goof off together. I mean, we have our group. And so they're coming with me to the mountains, and we're going to have a retreat in the mountains. And so that's going to be beautiful. We have budgeted to each, be able to stay in the mountains, I think for 4 or 5 nights and just really rest and be together, read books, do whatever you need to do. And so I'm looking forward to that very much, time with my sisters in ministry. That one is not booked yet. I just know we're going to the mountains. We might end up at Canuga or Valley Crucis or one of those retreat centers, because I like the idea of just, showing up and 3 meals a day. And, but I don't know. We haven't finalized that one yet. So, okay. Anyone recognize this? Yeah. So this is more everyday awe. When I get back from the mountains, I will have another period of unstructured time. One of the things I anticipate doing a lot of when I have that unstructured time is going on walks. And one of my favorite places to walk is to the labyrinths on campus. And so, you may see me out and about on my walks. You may see me at Harris Teeter. You may see me at, Ositos. If you see me and I'm on sabbatical, don't feel like you can't talk to me and say hi. You can totally say hi. The only rule is you can't talk to me about church stuff, okay? That's the rule. But yeah, feel free to say hi. I'll be happy to see you, so don't worry about that. Just no shop talk. But yes, so more everyday awe, unstructured time. Looking forward to it. All right. Next up, some oceanic awe. One of the things that has been on my, bucket list, if you will, my spiritual bucket list, is to make my way to some of the places associated with the Apostle Paul. You all may have noticed, I don't gravitate to preaching on the epistles as much. I find them challenging, and I've always wanted to kind of have an opportunity to get a little bit more inside my buddy Paul's head, and maybe going to some of the sites associated with him will help me do that. I did actually, during the COVID pandemic time of virtual church, I did begin to feel a bit of a kinship with Paul, because he was somebody who had to, write these letters to these churches that he was apart from, and I felt like I miss my people, and so I was like, well, I maybe Paul and I need to spend a little quality time together. So I'm going to go with a dear friend she's a United Methodist pastor down in Alabama. We're going to go together on a tour by boat to some of around Greece and Turkey. So, wow, right? Wow. This is first week of June. Yeah. Basically, we're gone for spring break, and then we're mostly here except for the mountains through April and May, and then we're gone all of June. So just so you all kind of know. So we'll do the Greece and Turkey pilgrimage, if you will. There, I've never done anything quite like this. So I'm excited, and I don't even know what the awe will be, but I am sure there will be plenty of opportunities to say that wow prayer, and looking forward to them. So by the time I finish up with this, so Chris will be out of school, and Matt and Chris are going to fly over and meet me in London. We'll meet up in London, and since Chris will now be on summer break, we'll have some really good time together to do some things that have been some things we've wanted to do as a family for a while. And so one of the things that sort of sparked this part is, I love to go to cathedrals. I always have. I love to wander into any church, really, and just be wowed by the architecture. It's something I've always found is sort of awe-inspiring to me. Chris, on the other hand, churches are great, but castles, So we're going to go around the UK, and I'm sure there'll be other things besides architecture that make us say wow, but one of the things we're trying to do intentionally is to visit some of the cathedrals and castles of the United Kingdom. So we're meeting up in London. We're spending a few nights in the Cotswolds, and that's going to be kind of our home base for driving to some of the cathedrals that are within driving distance. Pray for Matt, who is going to be the one driving on the left side of the road. That would be a different kind of wow if I tried to do that. I just don't think. And then we will head up. Anyone know where this is? Anyone recognize it? This is Iona. Yeah, very good. Z, gold star. This is Iona. So in Scotland, we'll head up to Edinburgh and then do a tour of Scotland, the Isle of Mull, the Iona, and then Isle of Skye, Loch Ness, some of the, sort of the classic Scottish places that you go, or that some people go. Now I go, and just be awestruck by that experience. Iona, of course, being one of the most ancient site of Christianity in this part of the world. So, very excited about that part. And then we will head back to London after we finish up in Scotland, and have a number of days just in London to visit. More cathedrals, more castles, that kind of thing, more architectural awe. And, these cathedrals, they were built for the purpose of glorifying God through their beauty and splendor, right? And you could, I guess, make an argument that there are better ways to spend that money that that it took for them to be built, but they've always just made me catch my breath. The skill and just the vision of an architect making that a reality. So it's kind of neat that our own building project will continue to go on while I'm away, but I'll be sort of admiring finished products that were built a long time ago, and then when I get home, this thing will be much further along, which will be great. So that's the plan for that period of time. The last cathedral in the UK that we're going to see is St. Albans Cathedral. And we've been able to plan it so that the day we are there is the Feast of St. Alban. So while you all are celebrating the Feast of St. Alban here, we will be at St. Albans Cathedral celebrating the Feast of St. Alban. So how cool is that? The community around St. Albans Cathedral, they do a big parade. They have these giant puppets that reenact the martyrdom of Alban. So it'll be interesting. I'll be writing in my WOW journal, I'm sure, watching all this. But yeah, so there's a big parade and big worship service, and it's going to be a grand affair, and we're going to, we'll be celebrating St. Alban while you are celebrating St. Alban, and remembering his story. And then from there, that's June 22nd. And so from there, it'll be time to kind of pack up and start heading home. The last thing that we are hoping to do is maybe channel over and spend a couple nights in Paris, but haven't finalized that yet, but none of us have ever been. But don't tell Chris about that one, because that's a surprise. Yeah. So anyway, so we're in the midst of putting all these plans together, and it's been very fun and a lot of work and very exciting, and I just am so grateful to have this opportunity. Oh wait, I forgot to show you St. Albans. There, St. Albans. Yeah. It's a little bit north of London. Yeah. Questions here? I know, right? Never rains there, right? Yeah. I know, it's been, so I will have to pack for Greece and Turkey, but also like potentially cold and rainy Scotland and England, so I haven't figured that out yet. Yes, Joe?
This isn't a question, it's just that I hope that while you're in Scotland, you will visit some of the single malts still.
Oh, I'm sure we will manage that, yes. I'm sure we will manage that, absolutely. Yep, yes, okay. I welcome them, yes, please, I need your suggestions. And then last but not least, Sunday, June 30th, an awesome reunion. Be back home. And we'll start a season of storytelling. And I'm still figuring out what that looks like, but I hope that we'll find some ways for you all to share any insights and experiences from your WOW journals, and I will certainly figure out some ways to share, some of my experiences. But again, all that is, I have to have the experiences first before I really know how to share them. So that all that is to still be kind of figured out. So while I am gone, you all will be in excellent hands, of course. The sabbatical, fortunately, or the grant, fortunately, is we included some funds for Kevin to have a stipend while I am gone, because the main sort of clergy, he will be the lead clergy while I am away. And so it just means a little more sort of on his shoulders. He's obviously, totally going to be up to the task and fine. He's done it all before, and he has done sabbatical before, so he kind of knows the drill. And so I'm not worried in the least. So Kevin will be your first point of contact for any clergy needs, and of course Deacon Valerie, Reverend Leslie will also be around and helpful. And so I anticipate that the ministries of the church, everything will just continue as it always does, right? You all will be great. One of I think the sort of the side benefits of a sabbatical is it's a reminder to everybody that the church is not the pastor, right? Church is you all. And so I don't see that here, but there are times, in certain contexts when it becomes this sort of cult of personality, right? And it feels like you can't even function if the pastor isn't there. And that's not us for sure, and I'm grateful for it. And but it is also, it's a nice reminder, right? That you all are the church. And you all will keep being the church. So Kevin will be there, and then the vestry. In the rector's absence, of course, the vestry is the senior warden. The wardens will be doing a lot to make sure things are also running seamlessly around here. So between our vestry and the amazing clergy we have, it's all going to be fine. And I really am going to unplug. So I'm not going to check my email. I know some of you all text me sometimes, and I love that. But I'm probably not going to respond. Actually, I'll just say I'm not going to respond if you do. It doesn't mean I don't love you. Of course, I do, and it doesn't mean I don't care about what you're texting to me, or emailing to me. It's just it's that slippery slope, right? If I do it a little bit, then I'll want to do it a lot, and then the sabbatical time, the renewal leave time, won't accomplish what it was meant to accomplish, right? So I'm going to be strict about that stuff for all of us, right? Because this is all in service of you all having a refreshed, healthy, invigorated rector, right? That's what we all want, right? At least I hope that's what you want. So that's why I will, be doing that. Yes, Z.
Where will you worship while you're on staff?
Yeah, great question. I have actually, I've been thinking about this because I don't get the opportunity to go just be in the pew very much. So this kind of is my chance to go do that. And so, I certainly have friends and colleagues who I've always wanted to go just sit in their pews and see them do their thing, and experience that, and just worship and not have to be in charge of anything, or make sure that we have 3 acolytes lined up, and make sure that so yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm still figuring out when and where I will be worshiping, but I'm probably going to hop around. I might be Presbyterian one morning. I don't know. I might go down to Charlotte and visit some of the churches down there. I have no idea. Yeah, but I have a few ideas. I should say, not no idea. I have a few ideas, but no hard and fast schedule yet. Part of what's nice about the unstructured time that I've built in is that I really can just wait and make the call, like wake up Sunday morning and be like, where do I feel like going today? Kind of excited about that because this is my chance, Yeah, so great question. Yeah, I'm not good at that. Sleep in. Yeah, maybe I'll learn to be good at that. But no, yeah. But it will be nice, to experience what it's like to just wake up and be like, do I want to go to church today? What's that like? I don't know what that's like. Yes.
Is there any intent to visit some of the historic pieces like Canterbury or some of those?
Yeah, certainly, yes. Yeah. We are not planning to Canterbury only because I've already been. I've been to Canterbury before, and Matt has been to Canterbury before. So highly recommend going to Canterbury if you've never been. It's amazing. But just because we've both been, my seminary actually takes the graduating class to Canterbury each year. And so I got to go with my seminary class, which was amazing. But yes, we'll definitely be, I'm big nerd like that. So any historical place that we're anywhere close to, I'm going to want to go to it, and so will Matt. So, and Chris, we'll do as much of that as Chris will tolerate. Yeah.
I think Salisbury was the church in the Pillars of the Earth. That was amazing.
Yeah.
If I get there, I can see that.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, I know. There's a lot of cathedrals on the list of ones I'd love to see. We'll probably focus on the ones that are within decent driving distance. But yes, yeah. There's so many good choices. And yes.
So when you are following in the steps of Paul, are you and your friend figuring that out yourself?
No. Yes, we are gonna show up, get on a boat, and be taken to all those places with a nice guide. So it'll be less DIY and more. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Jean, yes.
You're going to be very close to Montreal.
Yes.
Can you slip up there?
We're planning on it. I actually, just over the weekend, I was Googling, how do you get across the Canadian border? Yeah, so we're planning to do just a day trip, not an overnight, but a day trip into Montreal just to experience it. So if you have Montreal tips, please send them our way. I know, so the day we're planning to be there is a Sunday, so we're actually, I think, going to go to the Anglican Cathedral in Montreal, for Evensong, and then do some other things in the city that day. Yeah, so that is on our plan, yeah.
It also could be still winter out there.
Right. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Early April up there. I mean, I lived in Connecticut, so it's just not Canada, but it's certainly different than North Carolina. So yeah, I'm prepared for not the best weather, but it'll be fine. Yeah. So, what else?
You will be disconnected from us. How about Chris and Matt?
Oh, great question. Thank you, Sue. You will still see Chris and Matt. Matt directs the children's choir. Chris is in the children's choir, so they're not going to want to miss, too many Sundays. They'll miss a couple until the end of the program year. I think, but most Sundays you'll still see them. Yeah. So, but that's a great reminder too. That. While you see them, you can certainly ask, hey, how's Carmen's Sabbatical going? But it would not be appropriate, and I know I don't need to tell you all this, but to be like, hey, Matt, tell Carmen, the bathroom's out of paper towels. I know you all didn't do that, but it's, just that sort of keeping that boundary, but yes, you will still see them. They'll be around. Yeah.
But until you go on sabbatical, it is okay for us to...
Yeah, you can tell me. I'm probably not going to do anything about it, but... Yeah. Allison.
Anything you can do to care for your family in your absence?
Oh, thank you. So I'm only going to be absent from them 1 week. Right? Because they're coming with me on the first trip, or I guess maybe a week and a half. But I'll be absent from them when I'm in the mountains with my clergy group, and I'll be absent from them when I'm in Greece and Turkey. but other than that, we're together, and that was how I designed it because I wanted time with them. So that's a lovely question. I think they'll be okay. I mean, just Matt may need like a little extra, encouragement, but what? Oh, you want to water our plants while we're gone? Awesome, thank you. We'll talk. Thank you. I love that. I'm in a parish where people ask that kind of question and say that, make that kind of invitation. That's amazing. Yes, if I think of things that we need to make this possible, we'll reach out and let you know as we prepare. I've never done anything quite like this, so some of the things that I should probably be preparing, I don't even know what, but it's, we'll figure it out as we go, certainly. But yeah, we will be good. We will be fine. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? What else?
Just one. With all
Yeah.
that pathway, is there a formula for reentry?
Formula. Yeah. Yeah. That's one of those things that I don't know what I don't know. Like, for reentry, I mean, I think my hunch is that I'm going to be super excited to reenter because I know I will miss you all, like, a lot. So I think I'm just going to be really excited to get back and, excited to tell you all about my experiences and share with you all, some of my wow moments. But I also, I think it's a good reminder, thank you for asking the question, because it's a good reminder that I need to be intentional about, easing back in, and not expecting myself to, just go from 0 to 60, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm going to have to figure out some of that.
I won't leave Carmen.
Yeah. Kevin's going to get some well-earned vacation in July, but we are going to certainly plan a little bit of overlap time, to help with that. And then one of the reasons I timed it the way I did, instead of just taking the whole summer, was that so I could come back, so be gone from, day after Easter until, end of June, so I could come back in that slightly slower paced time. There's really no totally slow paced time in the church, I've learned. We always say like, oh, things slow down in the summer, but do they really? I haven't actually found that they slow down all that much, but certainly the pace in the summer is a little slower than fall. So coming back, July will give me the opportunity to ease in the less crazy time of the year, and will give me time to actually do a lot of why summer is still busy is because we're planning things for the fall, right? And this is going to be a big fall. Fall of 2024, our parish hall is going to be opening. We're going to be having, a lot. So getting back and being here in July and August is going to give me that planning time to kind of get prepared for the fall without just like being gone for the summer and then coming back and whoa, it's September and everything's, just go. So I think that's part of the reentry thing, was part of why I timed it the way that I did. So, good question. Jean, yes.
I had another thought. You said Chris is going to be with you all mostly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of eyes through her eyes.
Yeah.
You'll be able to share. That'll be a real source of awe.
Indeed. It's kind of cool. I went, so Chris has never been on an airplane before, so like that's going to be its first wow moment, right? That's going to be cool. And when I was 7, I went to London for the first time. And so my dad was on tour. He was opening for the Everly Brothers, if you can believe it. My dad's a musician, if you didn't know. And so he was on tour with the Everly Brothers. And they were touring the UK, and the record company flew my mom and I over to visit him because he was gone for a big chunk of time. And so we got to go, and I have, like, some of my earliest memories are of that trip to London as a 7-year-old, and Chris will be 7 when we take this trip. So it'll be, I mean, I've already gotten really excited just sort of thinking about some of my core memories from childhood, going to Windsor Castle and seeing, Queen Mary's dollhouse, and just like all of the cool experiences. When we were at Windsor, I tripped and skinned my knee, and we went into the gift shop to ask for a Band-Aid, and the guy at the gift shop got down on one knee and handed me the Band-Aid and said, "Courtesy of Her Majesty the Queen." I still remember this stuff. I have these core memories, and I'm so excited for Chris to get to make some of those memories too, and just that sort of that neat connection to my past. I also got scarlet fever when I went to London on that trip somehow. I think I was the 9th case of scarlet fever in the UK ever. But penicillin is amazing, so it was a good trip. Anyway, any other questions? We have 4 more minutes, or we can end early. Oh, thank you, Anne. I appreciate that. Thank you. It means the world to me to have your support and encouragement and excitement. So thank you. Thank you. Diane, you had a question? Oh. My dad is awesome. Yeah, he's a songwriter and a musician. He moved to Nashville with my mom in the 70s from North Carolina. He grew up in Greensboro, and my mom grew up in Charlotte, and they moved to Nashville in the 70s so that he could be a songwriter. He started writing poetry when he was in Vietnam in the Navy, and then realized when he got back that if he wanted to actually, it was hard to just stand up and read a poem, so he taught himself how to play the guitar, and it was like, this is, the era of Dylan, and he was like, I'm gonna be a songwriter. And so that's what he's done my entire life. And you can, if you go on Spotify or like Apple Music or something, you can hear the album he put out a couple years ago. He's awesome. So yes, that's my dad, Mark Germino. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. And yes, and take good care of Kevin and Valerie and Leslie too, and all the staff while I'm away. Okay. Thank you.